All right, we'll just wait for people in the back to take a seat. Good afternoon, everyone. A real special warm welcome to all of you today to the Ecumenical Center. It's a privilege and a joy and a pleasure for me to welcome you. We are grateful for the times that we've had together in this past 2 weeks. And today is the culmination when we come to share in the graduation. And it's a special day for those who have been through the program. But as we gather today, I want to say a very special welcome to Judge Mohammed Abdul Salam, whom I have grown to love and appreciate so much since we first met last year. We've had such a good connection and bonding over the period in time, and it's as if we had known each other for such a long time. And I'm very much wonderfully appreciating the collaboration that we are having, where I see us not only just talking and talking, but now I see us working and working. So we've changed talk shops into workshops. And what you've been experiencing here in these past days is precisely that. So Judge Abdul Salam, a very special welcome to you and to all who have come with you. I know that there are many dignitaries amongst us, and I want to say to all of you a very special welcome. And also a special welcome to Dr. Reverend Richard Sudworth, who's flown in to be with us today and will return later. And we are glad that he is here representing the Anglican Church, and Archbishop Welby, who is not able to be with us this afternoon. And a special welcome to all those who are going to be graduating. And I want to say thank you for allowing yourself into the space and for going through this program together. And this afternoon is about you as we celebrate your achievement in completing this particular program. So welcome to all of you. I trust that you will enjoy our afternoon together, and it'll be a great moment for celebration and for joyful fellowship. Thank you. You're welcome.
Your Excellencies and Eminences, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, dear parents and friends who are joining us online, because I remind you that this event is being streamed live. And most importantly, our incredible graduating participants of the Emerging Peacemakers Forum, 2nd edition. Welcome to this momentous occasion. Today we gather here to celebrate not only the achievements of these young minds, but also their unwavering dedication to peace and reconciliation. We also recognize the hard work and dedication of the staff team who have supported them along the way and made the journey itself a token of human fraternity. In a world often fraught with conflicts and divisions, these remarkable young people have shown us that compassion, understanding, and harmony can indeed prevail. They have embraced the noble ideals of peace and reconciliation, becoming beacons of hope for a brighter future for all of us. It is now my pleasure to welcome our first speaker, who generously accepted to deliver a message to our graduates, His Excellency Filippo Grandi. Filippo Grandi is the 11th United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. He has been engaged in refugee and humanitarian work for more than 30 years. From 2010 to 2014, he served as Commissioner General of UNRWA, the United Nations Agency for Palestine Refugees, having previously been its Deputy Commissioner General since 2005. He also worked with NGOs and UNHCR in Africa, Asia, the Middle East, and at the Geneva headquarters. Your Excellency, you are welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And let me join Secretary General in thanking all those that have made this very special event possible. Of course, my great friend Judge Abdul Salam and the Muslim Council of Elders, the World Council of Churches, through you, Secretary General, and your team for hosting us here, and the Rose Castle Foundation. And please, like I told you, please convey my sympathy to the Archbishop and my very strong personal thanks for what he's doing for refugees in the UK and worldwide. And it's a great privilege to be here because, first of all, I was asked to say a few words of wisdom. This is presumptuous in itself, to a group of very worthy young leaders. And I'll do my best to share just a few thoughts based also on what I do and on my own experience. I think I like just these young leaders, because if there is something that the world needs very badly is young leadership. This is what we need. May I say that especially us, leaders or not, from my generation, now look at you. The time has come to look at you, to do better than we did in some important areas. Look at the state of the world. Look at multiplying conflicts. Every year, almost every 10 months, I've calculated, we have a new major crisis adding itself to the previous ones without the previous ones being resolved, though. So this is an accumulation of crises that we witness. Look at the climate emergency. I don't need to tell you. I'm sure that many of you are very concerned by that. Look at what the world has gone through, the pandemic, COVID, in the middle of all the rest, and the terrible inequalities that continue to plague the world. This is a world which probably, as never before, needs unity in leadership. And this is probably a world that, as never before, sadly, has been divided. I was in New York 2 days ago. I was speaking about sustainable development and humanitarian issues in the General Assembly, and just 200 meters away, the Security Council, the most important leadership place for peacemaking, since that's what you're doing, was unable to agree on one humanitarian issue purely for political reasons. So how do we expect the world to face much bigger issues? Climate, health challenges, inequalities, and conflict. And that's why we need you as young leaders to be engaged. I speak from personal experience. I lead an organization that deals with 110 million refugees and displaced people around the world. People that are forced out of their homes, away often from their family, their friends, their jobs, their schools, by conflict, by persecution, by discrimination, human rights violations. And of course, when today I speak about it, everybody thinks of Ukraine, but this is only one crisis. There are crises all over the world that cry out for help and resolution and get very little of both. These 110 million people are 110 million examples of the leaders' failure to make peace, their failure to uphold human rights, their failure to have respect for each other prevail. So we need peacemakers. And you are hopefully today graduating. Congratulations, by the way. You're graduating in this important field of peacemaking, which is so much needed today. And a couple of reflections, quick reflections on that. if I may. And again, I don't want to sound presumptuous, but I'm old enough to be able to give you this type of advice. I think the presenter was very kind to me, said 30 years. I've actually worked 40 years in this field. So there is quite some experience there accumulated. And my main advice is to say, through what you study and what you experience as peacemakers, whichever type of peacemaking you do, make sure that you see the world clinically, but not cynically, if you see what I mean. Clinically, be able to analyze. These are very emotional issues, but they need professionals, young professionals, to understand and analyze in order to respond. But in doing this, because the temptation is always there, don't become cynical. Maintain idealism, the one that I'm sure still drives you very strongly now. That's the only way to survive as a peacemaker, if I may say, in a world that is so difficult and full of obstacles. You know, some of my colleagues have heard me quote the Gospels before. This particular evangelical quote that I love is one of my favorites. Be wise as serpents, as snakes, and be innocent as doves. I love it because it sums it up. It sums up what being a peacemaker is. You have to be innocent and maintain the drive, the idealistic drive, but you have to be smart. Otherwise, you will not achieve the results. And, you know, and also be very broad in your outlook. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know you individually, but that you make peace or strive for peace in many different areas. Because peace needs to be pursued, sought, made at many different levels. Between states, of course, when that is the situation, like between Ukraine and Russia, between peoples, sometimes within the same country, but also in broader ways. Think of the peace that we need to make between us, humans, and our planet. This is also peacemaking. And then, more deeply, in a more granular way, we need to make sure that we make peace in our communities, in our smaller circle, in our families, among our friends, because that multiple levels of peace are all important to remind ourselves of our common humanity, to embrace it, and in doing this bring help to those that are most vulnerable. And I imagine that many of you are from faith-based organizations, so you bring to that dimension of peacemaking a very important strength and value, which is important for all of us also in international organization. And this is why we interact with you so much. So thank you very much. That's what I wanted to share with all of you. Thanks again to the organizers for not only bringing us together here, but also giving all of you this opportunity and hopefully continuing this initiative of emerging peacemakers. You have, for whatever it's worth, the support of my organization, of myself personally, and once again, from the bottom of my heart, congratulations, and be our champions in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your wisdom, the wisdom that you shared with the young people, and the inspiration and motivation that we take with us today, clinically, but not cynically. Let us try to keep that in our mind as we engage the world of tomorrow. It is now my pleasure and personal honor to invite His Excellency Judge Muhammad Abdul Salam. Judge Abdul Salam is the Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Elders, Secretary General of the Zayed Award for Human Fraternity, co-president of Religions for Peace, member of Al-Azhar Center for Interreligious Dialogue, and has served as an advisor to the Grand Imam Ahmad al-Tayyib. Chancellor Abdul Salam is an exceptional leader, a visionary, recognized for his outstanding contributions in drafting the historic document on human fraternity, bringing people together, building bridges of understanding and harmony, paving the path, the difficult path for peace, and on the way, making a lot of friends, as he says, are some of what defines him. Let us please welcome the man who holds peace not only in his heart and mind and work, but also in his name, Sa'at al-Mustashar Muhammad Abdul Salam.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think everyone have headphone, yes. شكرا جزيلا. أعتقد أنني أكثر تواضعا من التعريف الذي ذكرته لي الصديقة العزيزة الأستاذة كارلا، وأيضا ما وصفني به أخي جيري بلاي الأمين العام لمجلس الكنائس العالمي. في البداية أود أن أرحب بكم الشباب والشابات من حول العالم، وأشكركم على المشاركة في هذا المنتدى المهم، منتدى صناع السلام. لا تعتقدوا أن هذا شعار فقط، ولكن أنتم فعلا صناع السلام الحقيقيين. اليوم وأنا أجهز نفسي أو أجهز كلمتي للقائكم، سمحت لنفسي أن أدعو ابني ياسين، وهو 10 سنوات، والحقيقة أن الهدف من هذا كان أن يرى قادة مستقبله. أنتم قادة مستقبل هؤلاء، أنتم من يجب أن يستمر حامل لشعلة السلام والأخوة والتعايش، ليلهم هؤلاء، لينير لهم المستقبل وينير لهم الطريق، لأنه مستقبلهم في خطر، بالتأكيد مستقبلهم في خطر، ولكن بكم وبأمثالكم سوف يكون لهم مستقبل أفضل إن شاء الله. أخي العزيز وشريكي وشريك مجلس حكماء المسلمين في هذا الحدث دكتور جيري بلاي، شكرا جزيلا. نحن نقدر التزامك وإيمانك بالسلام وبالشباب، وما قدمته مقدر للغاية. وأيضا أود أشكر مؤسسة روز كاسل على ما قدموه من جهد، وقبل ذلك أشكر كانتربري الكنيسة الإنجليكانية، دكتور جاستن ويلبي الذي لم يتأخر لحظة واحدة طوال هذه المسيرة السنوات الماضية منذ أن تم أول انعقاد لمنتدى شباب صناع السلام في العاصمة البريطانية لندن. شكرا لكل القادة والحضور الذين شرفونا اليوم من الخبراء والذين شاركوكم أفكارهم وخبراتهم. هم كلهم اقتطعوا من وقتهم ومن جهدهم ومن عملهم المهم ليأتوا إليكم، وأرجو أن تنتبهوا لهذا، ليأتوا إليكم إيمانا بكم ويشاركوكم خبراتهم وأفكارهم وتطلعاتهم بكم إلى المستقبل الأفضل. في ختام هذا المنتدى المهم، هذه المناسبة شديدة الخصوصية، منتدى شباب صناع السلام، وعميقة الدلالة بالنسبة لي شخصيا وبالنسبة لرؤية مجلس حكماء المسلمين، هذه المؤسسة التي انطلقت منذ 2014 من أبو ظبي لتحمل رؤية سلام للعالم، ولا زالت تكافح من أجل الحفاظ على هذه الشعلة مضيئة. الحقيقة لا أستطيع أن أمنع نفسي وأنا معكم، وقد ألهمتموني حقا من خلال لقائي بكم والحوار معكم، من أن أذكر بكل تقدير واحترام وإجلال فضيلة الإمام الأكبر الشيخ الدكتور أحمد الطيب شيخ الأزهر الشريف، الذي يرعى هذا المنتدى ويرعى هؤلاء الشباب بكل صدق وإخلاص، وهو قد اتصل بي بالأمس وطلب مني بشكل شخصي أن أحمل لكم كل تقديره واحترامه ودعوته لكم جميعا لزيارة الأزهر الشريف في مصر، وأيضا إتاحته لمركز تعليم اللغة العربية بالأزهر الشريف لكم لدراسة اللغة العربية في أي وقت ترون أن هذا مناسبا لكم. أيضا أود أن أتذكر هذا الرمز العظيم البابا فرانسيس الذي يكافح من أجل السلام ويفني وقته وجهده وصحته من أجل تعزيز الأخوة الإنسانية، هذا الفردوس المفقود الذي نسعى معكم جميعا إلى تحقيقه. وكذلك لا بد أن نذكر جميعا بالدعاء وبالامتنان والاعتزاز رئيس الأساقفة جاستن ويلبي الذي كان حريص على أن يكون معنا اليوم لولا ظروف طارئة جدا لحقت به. كل من شرفونا اليوم مذكورين في القلب وفي العقل بحضورهم ومشاركتهم ودعمهم، ولكن أيضا واسمحوا لي أن أذكر الغائب الحاضر الشيخ نهيان بن مبارك آل نهيان الذي دعم هذا المنتدى بكل قوة، والذي يشاركنا من خلال قيادته لبرامج التسامح ليس فقط في دولة الإمارات ولكن في الوطن العربي. شاركنا بالدعم والتقدير وأيضا بإرسال وفد رفيع المستوى إلى المشاركة معكم والحوار معكم. شكرا جزيلا له. الحديث في الختام أعتقد أنه صعب، لأنه اسمحوا لي أن أقول أن هذا ليس ختام، هذا هو بداية لشراكة حقيقية معكم، وأرجو أن تفخروا بأنفسكم. تم اختياركم من 1000 متقدم من أكثر من 75 دولة حول العالم. كل المتقدمين كانوا على مستوى من الكفاءة، ولكنكم كنتم الأكفأ بعملكم وبمشاركاتكم في مجتمعاتكم، فأرجوكم افخروا بأنفسكم وثقوا أننا سنبقى معكم داعمين لكم ولأفكاركم ولمشاريعكم، ولا زلنا ننتظر منكم الكثير بعد هذا المنتدى. المنتدى سوف يكمل طريقه، لن يكون هذا المنتدى الأخير. الأول كان في لندن، الثاني هنا في جنيف، هذه المدينة العظيمة التي احتضنت أول تجمع لإنشاء أو لإشعال راية السلام، ولا زالت تحاول من خلال العديد من المنظمات، ونأمل أن تكونوا أيضا في المستقبل شريك أساسي لهذه المؤسسات في صناعة السلام. إن شاء الله المنتدى مستمر. مجلس حكماء المسلمين بكل أعضائه، هؤلاء الرموز الذين يحملون هم الشباب ويقدرون الشباب سوف يواصلون دعمهم لكم في مسيرتكم لتحقيق الأخوة الإنسانية والتعايش الإنساني. أريد أن أؤكد سريعا أن الدين بإطلاق هو تعبير عن فطرة الإنسان التي خلقه الله عليها، وهي ليست فطرة عدوان بالتأكيد أو صراع، وإنما الذي يبذر بذور النزاع الذي يتحول إلى حروب تهدد سلام الإنسان هي الظروف التي تطرأ والمسببات الواقعية. فأرجوكم ثقوا أن الأديان بريئة تماما من كل عنف أو صراع أو إرهاب أو حروب، وأرجوكم أيضا احذروا، كونوا حذرين للغاية من أي شخص أيا كان أو مؤسسة تستخدم الدين لصناعة مصالح أو أيديولوجيات سياسية أو عرقية أو مذهبية، فالدين بريء من كل هذا. الدين هو مصدر سعادة للشعوب. التعامل مع تحديات الواقع تحتاج إلى أفكاركم وإلهاماتكم، ونحن معكم. لا أريد أن أطيل عليكم، ولكن أنا فخور بكم، فخور بمشاركتكم. شكرا جزيلا، بارك الله فيكم، ومستمرون معا إن شاء الله. شكرا.
شكرا سعادة المستشار. indeed, he reminded us again and again that religion is a source of love, of hope, of peace, and it can never be used for destruction, aggression, or hatred. And it is our responsibility now as ambassadors of peace, you young people, to keep this message and show it not only with your words, but also with your actions and what you do once you go out from here. Because like Judge Salam told you, this is only the beginning. It is not the end. Let us then continue. We are gathered here today in the Visserthoofd Hall of the World Council of Churches headquarters. It is then my pleasure to welcome the General Secretary of the World Council of Churches, Reverend Dr. Jerry Pillay. Reverend Pillay is the 9th General Secretary since WCC was founded in 1948. He was previously Dean of the Faculty of Theology and Religion at the University of Pretoria, a member of the Uniting Presbyterian Church in South Africa. He comes indeed from South Africa. He brings to the General Secretary position his desire for the churches to come together and work together. He believes that churches need to offer guidance and direction to a suffering world, while we continue to deal with issues of justice, oppression, systemic violence, and so forth. Let us please welcome Reverend Dr. Jerry Pillay.
Thank you, Cara, for those words of introduction. I'm going to take an opportunity to talk to the graduates. A graduation ceremony is always a very special moment and an experience because it signifies that you have completed something. You have fulfilled the requirements of whatever it is that you had to accomplish. And of course, you have a certificate to prove it. Such certificates may help us in very different ways. In personal growth, as we go through the learning experience, in acquiring more knowledge in a broader perspective than that which we have been usually accustomed to. But it also perhaps as an opportunity of preparing us for our career choices. But given all of that, the experience that you have had in these past 9 days is much more than that. So let's see how this program on emerging peacemakers has helped you in some way or the other. I would like to think that in the first instance, that for some of you, if not for many of you, it must have been a life-changing experience because you've been brought into a context of great pluralism, multiple opportunities of seeing and experiencing things for the first time, perhaps. And so it is a life-changing experience, and a life-changing experience in terms of having, secondly, a broader contextual and global knowledge. Sometimes when we're from places where we come from, we're narrowed down in our sense of knowledge, in what we know, what we learn, what we are told. But when we are thrown into a wider spectrum of things, our knowledge suddenly increases, and we learn about things that we otherwise had not known about or experienced for ourselves. I would like to think, thirdly, that you had the opportunity to cross boundaries. You have crossed boundaries of perhaps language, of culture, of religious and social norms. We sometimes come from places and spaces that have been narrowed and restricted. And now in these past days, you have been thrown into a whirlpool of new experiences. And it might have disturbed you. It might have challenged you. And likewise, it might have impressed you. It might have opened new horizons for you, new ideas, new ways and levels of thinking and engaging about things in life. Fourthly, I would like to think that going through this particular program has helped you to become champions for peacemaking. Well, of course, in this limited time, you didn't learn everything right. And your experiences are not at that level that can give you a claim to say, now I know it all. But I would like to imagine that you've been given the basic tools that will help you to continue with this task of being peacemakers. Our world is in trouble. Our world is a very messy place at the moment. We have poverty, we have climate crisis, we have a war, we have factions, conflicts, ethnic violence, gender-based violence, and you can name it. So many different things. And into this context, we are called to speak as religious people. We are called to say, let's make a difference. And that's the fifth thing I think this program has probably forced you to think about. And that is, how do we have an alternative message for a world that is struggling, for a world that is broken, for a world that is in need of healing and restoration? And the task of religious people, and especially of young people, and this is what excites me most about this group of people, those of you who are graduating today, is that you are young people who have been chosen to follow this trend of becoming peacemakers. You can set the examples to make a different world. You can set the examples to say to the world around us, it doesn't have to be like this. You are the ones to live an alternate lifestyle. And so the final thing in the sixth sense is the realization that peace is possible. It is hard work for those of us who have been involved in peace processes, but it is work that you never give up doing. And I've been in situations where I have seen right from the start, people have said to me, you're wasting your time. There is no ways you will find peace and reconciliation among those groups of people. And I can tell you, it might have taken years, but I've seen by God's grace the mystery of God at work, the grace of God at work, the Spirit of God at work, transforming lives and changing people's attitudes, behaviors, and acceptance of others. So the World Council of Churches speaks of a journey of justice, reconciliation, and unity. And this is what we're trying to promote as part of our strategic plan at this time for the next 8 years. We've done that in the past 8 years, but we've modified that to be a little bit different in the next 8 years of our cycle in terms of how we plan. And this program that we have been working with, it's been a joy for us to have collaboration with the Muslim Council of Elders and also with the Rose Castle Foundation to put together this particular program of emerging peacemakers, creating, establishing, training champions like yourselves for justice, reconciliation, unity, and peace. But I dare say that we can have all the knowledge that we have on a given subject, and we can even have the certificate to prove it, as you will get today, to say that we are trained. But the real value of what we have gained is in how we put it into practice. It's what you do with what you have received. And today I want to urge you to go out and to be disciples and children of God, working with God to transform and heal a broken and suffering world. A quick story. There's a certain person in my country who, as a young person, who was so terribly disturbed about apartheid. And as he grew up and as he grew older, he realized that the young generation needed to do something significant to change the context of the majority of Black people who were suffering injustices because of the skin color and policies that were indeed oppressing them. He then got involved and started to master a campaign and bring people to fight against a government that was dehumanizing people, especially black people in our country. And then he was accused of being a terrorist. He was thrown into prison, and he spent 27 years of his life in prison. You know the story. His name is Nelson Mandela. Mandela taught us that peace is possible. Mandela taught us that reconciliation is possible. It is his work, and it is the work of the churches, with people like Desmond Tutu, who helped our country to go through a transition without bloodshed and to find reconciliation and peace. Much more still needs to be done in that context, but it is a context of change. Why am I telling you that story? Maybe we may not rise to the proportion of being another Mandela, but each of us can start small by living, exemplifying what it means to be neighbors to the other. Putting down the walls that separate us, that makes us to be enemies, and prevents us from being brothers and sisters. And so what you have received in these days, I hope and I pray that you will take with you and you will live it, not in your heart alone, but in the lives and lifestyles that you live. So let me finish with one more story, and I'm sure you're going to like the story. Soren Kierkegaard tells a story about a duck pastor, a duck. He walked into his duck congregation one Sunday morning, and he went up and he stood at the duck pulpit, and he opened the duck Bible, and he started to read to the ducks in his congregation. And he said, "Ducks, you are not just ducks, you are birds. You have wings, and with your wings, you can fly." And they all said, "Amen. Do you believe me that you can go up as high as the eagle?" And they said, "Amen." He said, "Are you ready to go out into the world now and be birds flying into the sky?" And they said, "Amen." And then after the service, they all waddled back home. They forgot they had wings. Today, this past days, you have received training. You have looked at yourselves, you have looked at your context, you have looked at the world. And I trust that what you have received will prompt you enough to use your wings to shelter, to embrace, but also for yourself to fly high as a peacemaker. God bless you and best wishes.
Thank you, Reverend Jerry. We will make sure to remember today that we can fly on our way back out of this room. So, breaking the walls of stereotypes, the walls of separation, the walls of division, because beyond those walls, there's a world waiting for you to be shaped. There's a new narrative waiting to be written. There are children, our children, looking up to you as their role model for a better life in dignity. Let us now welcome the final speaker of this part of the ceremony, and that is Reverend Dr. Richard Sudworth, who is the Secretary for Interreligious Affairs to the Archbishop of Canterbury and National Interreligious Affairs Advisor for the Church of England. Before taking up his post, he was a parish priest in Birmingham. Dr. Richard is the author of Encountering Islam, Christian-Muslim Relations in the Public Square, and Distinctly Welcoming Christian Presence in a Multi-Faith Society. His doctoral studies at the University of London were on Anglican political theology and Christian-Muslim relations, and he has been involved in teaching priests on Christian-Jewish relations and contributed to several studies on this subject in the recent years. He will deliver a message on behalf of His Eminence Archbishop Justin Welby. You are welcome.
Your Excellencies, esteemed guests, I want to thank you for the warm welcome here in Geneva and to convey greetings from Archbishop Justin to Dr. Jerry Pillay and the World Council of Churches for kindly hosting this conference and for their partnership in this conference. I'd like to thank Judge Muhammad Abdul Salam and his team and the Muslim Council of Elders for their investment in making this happen, and for the Rose Castle Foundation, to Dr. Sarah Snyder and her team for their skill and wisdom in providing vital input. It is with great sadness that I convey to everyone the regret that the Archbishop is unable to be with you today. He is alongside his mother in her final moments and with family at this time. I will convey the text that has been prepared by Archbishop Justin, so speaking his words. I want to begin by thanking my friend, Grand Imam Al-Tayyab, for his foresight in taking this initiative for the whole project of emerging peacemakers. My prayers are with him for a full recovery after his operation. It's important to frame the context of this graduation ceremony and this whole event within friendship. My hope is that you have made friends over this last week, friends across the boundaries of faith. Friends do not mimic each other. Friends are not reflections of ourselves. Friends are people of difference that we are committed to the welfare of. It is as friends that we can both receive the gift of the other and in time offer challenge, knowing that we seek a shared good. This is the vision I have for our respective religious communities, and most especially in the context of this gathering for Christians, Jews, and Muslims, that we are friends across and with our difference, not needing uniformity and agreement to celebrate the welfare of each other. You may be aware that it has been a busy year for the Church of England, most especially as we made preparations for the coronation of King Charles in May of this year. If you watched the event on television, you'll have seen that it was opened by a young schoolboy, framing everything there under the theme of service. That power and authority only have value when put to the service of others, and particularly in service of the most vulnerable, the elderly, children, the stranger, the refugee. Which brings me to the title of this keynote, The Importance of Empowering Youth in Interfaith Relationships for Peacemaking. Implicit in this very title is the sense that someone like me, with authority, power, and seniority in age, has to make space to a younger generation to be serving you as you embark on a calling to build friendships across different faiths. It is why I would have sought to be listening to your reflections on this last week more than speaking into this event. I believe you've been hearing about the 12 habits of a reconciler. I want to use the 3 habits of reconciliation that our team at Lambeth Palace have honed down from these 12 as touchstones for what I share now. These are: 1, be curious, they may be familiar; 2, be present; 3, reimagine. Number 1, be curious. You don't need me to remind you that the world is changing at a huge rate. It's become a truism that we need to train young people for jobs that haven't yet been created. Such are the technological revolutions that are taking place right now. Professor Kwame Anthony Appiah of Harvard University has said that the problem is not that we don't know each other, but that too soon we think we know enough of each other. As Christians, Jews, Muslims, curiosity assumes that we do not know everything about the other. In fact, the changes of our modern world mean that the realities of being a religious person in any one context are likely to look very different in other contexts. The internet means that there is no longer, if ever there was, a one-size-fits-all way of being a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew. Being a Pentecostal Christian of Nigerian descent living in London will look different to being a white Anglican working-class Christian in the city of Bradford. Whether you're a man or woman, Jewish or Muslim, different traditions and cultures are mixing and shaping our lived realities. So, be curious. What are the stories that have shaped this person I am meeting now? And my experience of any communal interfaith dialogue is that we often discover as much difference and strangeness within our own community as much as the others. We talk a lot of dialogue across the East and the West in terms of religions. I can see that the world that you are growing in leadership to is one which will recognize that the notions of East and West are perhaps increasingly unhelpful. Muslims in the UK, for example, are fashioning a very British way of being Muslim because it's their home. Some of the most vibrant Christian communities in the UK right now, the growing younger churches, are British Nigerian and British Chinese. And the Christians of North Africa and the Middle East are the most ancient Christian communities in the world and rooted firmly in these lands. How we are attentive to the complexities of lived faith today demands that we be curious. Number 2, be present. Being curious leads to being present because it requires us to make space to listen. Being present to the surprises we encounter, surprises of similarity and resonance, as well as bafflement or challenge. Being present means sticking with some of the difficulties and discomforts. I'm sure some of you, perhaps, will have encountered these moments already this week. When I'm present to my family and friends, I'm prepared to hear their perspectives, not impose my own on them. This gathering of emerging peacemakers is an opportunity to build on the particular links that exist across the 3 Abrahamic faiths, Jewish, Christian and Muslim, albeit that we do tell very different versions of some shared stories. There are important resonances that demand we seek peaceable common ground. But I'm mindful that being present to each other means that there are always ghosts in the room that may not be physically present, but are there nonetheless. Being present as people of faith, believing in the one God, means that we believe in the presence of every single person in this world. So when we talk together as Jews, Christians and Muslims, how do we talk in ways that give respect, care, love to those that are not here with us? Sikhs, Hindus, Buddhists, agnostics, atheists and others. This is the vista of our interconnected world today and the future of interfaith peacemaking, that our voices and actions seek the good of all and have integrity across all communities. Number 3, reimagine. Being curious and being present in today's world then means that we need to reimagine new possibilities for relationships. One of the reasons that older leaders need to give space for younger leaders is that we oldies are too fond of saying, we tried that and it didn't work. Reimagining requires risk. There is a glorious prophetic vision in the Hebrew Bible, the Christian Old Testament, in the book of Isaiah. It is in the picture language of a world where the lion lies down with the lamb and the child plays by the nest of the adder. It's meant to be an arresting image that shocks and delights. What situations today can be completely overturned by reimagining old enemies coming together as friends, playfully? In another prophetic book, Joel, it talks of the elderly dreaming dreams and the young having visions. What's your vision? What might need to happen to get there? It's clearly intentional that it's the young that have the visions, the portents of future possibilities, and it's the old that have the dreams. I'm not going to flesh out a vision for you. It's your turn now. But be bold. That's what visions are for. I want to share a final few words just for the Christian emerging peacemakers in particular. Whenever I preach at a wedding, there's always a sense of speaking just to the couple about married life, love, and faithfulness, but with the wider congregation listening in for words that might be helpful for them. I'm now speaking to the Christians, but you can all listen in, and some of the words may work for you, some may not, or they may need to be worked out in other ways from within your own traditions. So, to the Christians, to be peacemakers, to build good relationships across faith traditions, continue to pray, read your Bible, share in the Eucharist, worship with other Christians, have deep roots. Roots down, walls down. Stay faithful to Christ, and he'll be faithful to you as you risk in relationship to others. And back to all of us. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Richard, for this message. We will all pray, Christians and non-Christians, humans of this world, together for a better future, for one human fraternity. So we take the message that we need to break the walls, be curious, to reimagine another world where we are transformative agents of it, and all of it clinically, but not cynically, like Filippo Grandi reminded us. It is now time to celebrate with our young people. Their journey has been one of self-discovery, growth, and the pursuit of peace. From their forum sessions in the Ecumenical Institute of Bossé to the wider community, these young people have gone beyond their interactions, creating lasting impact through the various discussions, initiatives, and activities. Let us now celebrate their accomplishments and the commencement of the profound transformation that is waiting for you ahead.
Ciao.
Salam.
Marhaba. Hello.
Përshëndetje.
Hello. Konnichiwa. I'm from United Arab Emirates. I'm from Italy.
I am from Azerbaijan.
I am from Albania.
I'm from Tunisia.
I'm from Kazakhstan.
I'm from London.
I'm from the Kingdom of Bahrain.
I'm from Japan.
I'm from Nigeria.
I'm from Kazan, Russia.
I come from North Macedonia.
I'm from the US.
I'm from Egypt.
I'm from the Gambia and I live in New York.
I'm coming from Bermuda.
I'm from Lebanon.
I'm from England.
When I first got landed, it was a breath of new air. Being invited here by EPF was such a dream come true for me. Through the airport ride to get to Chateau de Bossé, I was just like so curious as like thinking about all the great people that I'll be meeting, all the different workshops I'll be engaging in, and just looking forward to everything I'll gain from this program. I definitely didn't know how much of a bond I'll create with the people I've met. I think just within the second day, we started like creating really strong friendships, and it truly has expanded my worldview and has really dismantled a lot of misconceptions I've also had about people from around the world.
I think what's really different about EPF is how much effort is you can see throughout the forum, from organizers, from participants. You can feel that so much has been put to make this thing together.
It's the all human rights
I learned everything, like how to be a good organizer, how to be humble, how to be full of energy.
Now I have friendship from Europe, America, Asia, Africa, a lot of countries.
Attending prayers from different religions with those people who are coming from these different cultures and these different countries made it so interesting and made it like we are all united together.
It was very nice to see Dr. Jerry Pillay at the lecture, and I think all of us in all the lectures, but especially for him, could learn a lot.
I appreciate Chancellor Mohammed Abdul Salam coming over to meet us. I think it was a pleasure being in the audience while he was addressing us. It feels good to see someone, he's working with a lot of senior religious leaders capable of sitting and listening to the young people. The fact that he believed we can do some change in the world alone made our presence here meaningful.
To be honest, I feel bad because it's going to end this wonderful experience.
I'd say don't cry that it's over, but smile because it happened.
I hope it's working now. Thank you so much for listening to this video. We've heard from our leaders from the VIP, and before coming to the certificates, we would love also to hear like short statements from some of the participants to tell us about their experience during this forum. So at the beginning, I would like to welcome Abigail Asadi to tell us about her experience.
Good afternoon, everyone, to my fellow participants of the Emerging Peacemakers Forum, staff, distinguished guests, everyone who made this possible, thank you. My name is Abigail Asadi, and I am a student at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., studying government and religion ethics and world affairs. I'm a proud American Jew, and I am honored to be speaking before you today about my experience these past 9 days here in Geneva. Firstly, I greatly appreciate that the World Council of Churches, Muslim Council of Elders, and the Rose Castle Foundation have expanded the forum to include Jews like myself. I believe that this act not only adds an additional religious perspective and enriches our cohort, but also strengthens the mission of human fraternity, and I am excited for continued Jewish involvement in the future. As an American, I know Americans often think of ourselves as the center of the world. EPF fundamentally challenged me to rethink this idea and reposition myself in a global context. Engaging with fellow youth from over 20 countries, listening to dynamic speakers who lead multinational organizations, learning the basic values of peace building, and honing our perceptions of leadership helped me to look beyond my US-centric mindset and consider the global issues that we collectively face in a new way. While I advocate not letting go of yourself, I believe the ability to remove yourself from your own context and assume a bird's eye view is critical to empathetic, humanity-based, and just peacemaking, which is what our world so desperately needs. Moving forward, I know I will carry with me the power to place myself in the shoes of others, ask bold questions, and analyze the perspective of all engaged in the peace-building process. What reinforced this lesson and really highlighted the need for a new generation of peacemakers was hearing the stories of my impressive peers. I want to thank them all for their honesty, openness, and generosity. I've cried with them, laughed with them, and made true lifelong friends. The conversations that we've had are gritty and true, and that is very special to me. I can confidently say that everyone here has a story to tell and an issue they are passionate about. They've inspired me to have hope and pride in our generation, and I'll be waiting and watching for the accomplishments of my friends in the international press in the coming years. Thank you to the WCC, MCE, and Rose Castle who have taken the initiative to support young people. And I hope we will not disappoint you in our efforts of Tikkun Olam, which is the Jewish teaching of repairing the world together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the next speaker will be Frederick Kratt. Please welcome him.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege and a joy to be given the opportunity to share with you some of my reflections as one of several young Christians here at the Emerging Peacemakers Forum, and on my experience of taking part in this amazing time together. My name is Fred Kratt and I'm from the UK. I'm an Anglican, and I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to the organisers of this forum, Rose Castle, the Muslim Council of Elders, the World Council of Churches, who have so generously invested not only funds but time, energy, facilities and genuine love, care and attention for the sake of our development and well-being as young peacemakers. There have been a number of key themes and lessons that have emerged from the forum, but I'd like to share just three. What binds them all together is a phrase that we heard early in our time together, that the unthinkable remains possible. Now, this phrase was first said in the context of reminding us of our need to be vigilant against the views of those who would seek to misrepresent us and divide us. We must stay on our guard against evils and dangers that some would dismiss as unthinkable in the modern 21st century. Moreover, we must provide counter-narratives that speak both to ourselves and our world that the way of love, mutual understanding, reconciliation, peace, and human fraternity is the better way. But I have also learned this week that the good things that we seek for our world, such as genuine and sustainable peace between nations, between faiths, between communities, things that some others would also dismiss as unthinkable, are also remaining possible. And the EPF is a diverse and beautiful demonstration of this vision. But how do we go about this in practice? First, the EPF has taught me of the need for strong intergenerational partnerships to solve the complex problems we face. We've had some amazing talks and insights from guest speakers, and many have spoken about the need for young people to find the solutions to world issues young people have inherited. But such is the weight of this responsibility that we are often left feeling actually disempowered rather than empowered. So in truth, the young people of the world need the older generation, and the older generation also need the younger generation. And so I respectfully ask our senior leaders that we speak less of young people as you, the future leaders, but rather of us, equally valued leaders under God in our time together on earth. Second, that we remind the world that our diversity is our strength. Speaking as a British Anglican Christian, I have learned so much from my other Christian friends, Muslim friends, Jewish friends, Hindu friends, and non-religious friends on the forum, from a huge range of cultural and ethnic backgrounds. We have our differences, but we all share the same basic human needs: for food, for water, for a clean environment, for safety, and for community. I have learnt that more than ever, we need all peoples of all faiths and none to ally together to meet our common needs and ensure our mutual well-being and flourishing. Thirdly, finally, and briefly, and to echo the words of my Archbishop, I've seen through the power of the EPF the power of friendship, the common vision to hold us together, even with our heartfelt differences. There are friendships that I've made here across cultural boundaries that I look forward to enjoying in the years ahead. To conclude, I have been reminded of the words of Jesus, who said in Matthew 19:26, speaking of how humans can enter into the kingdom of heaven, he said that with man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. What of the mission of building greater peace in our world? With individuals, this is impossible. With human fraternity, it becomes possible. And with God, I believe all things are possible. Friendships between neighbours, especially those who are different, require constant investment, care, and maintenance. This is even more true of friendship between people groups. And I look forward to taking all this learning back to my context in the UK, where I work in the West Midlands for the Police and Crime Commissioner, bringing faiths together to tackle and prevent violence and exploitation affecting young people. I'd also like to thank my employers for allowing me to take the time out to be here and learn so much from other people. In conclusion, if I could say one thing about EPF that I've learned from EPF, is that through friendship and cooperation across cultures, faiths and generations, there is real hope for our world. Thank you.
Thank you, Frederick. So the next, last but not least, will be Khadija Fatihi.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, my name is Khadija Fatihi and I am from Morocco. As the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, said, "Man lam yashkur an-nasa, lam yashkur Allah." He who doesn't thank people doesn't thank Allah. Therefore, I would like to start by thanking everyone who worked devotedly in making this forum happen. A huge thank to the Muslim Council of Elders, the World Council of Churches, the Rose Casa Foundation, and the wonderful team organizer of the EPF. Today, I stand before you with a heart filled with warmth and gratitude as I share my incredible journey of participating in the Emerging Peacemakers program. When I received the confirmation email from the EPF team, I hurried up to tell the news to my family. And they were quite in doubt, thinking that maybe this program is not the most suitable for me. Maybe it's about bringing people, experts in theology, imams. Yeah, this is not really what PF is about. So please allow me to introduce you on how or what EPF was really about. EPF is such an incredible and inclusive program that welcomes people from different faiths and those even with no faith as well, coming from different backgrounds and countries. Together, we learned about innovative approach to address peace, social challenges, inspiring projects that uplifted the marginalized, and most importantly, to listen and disagree well. All of this was driven by a shared belief in the potential that we, youth, can create a better world by delving into research, creating social initiatives, or reaching decision-making positions. Indeed, what truly made this experience unforgettable were the remarkable individuals I had the privilege of calling friends. From the moment we gathered, we formed an inseparable bond, transcending boundaries of belief, language, geography. In each other's story, we learned experiences. We discovered our shared humanity. Every interaction was an opportunity to learn and grow and expand our perspective. The warmth, kindness, curiosity, and genuine concern we exhibited toward one another was a testament to the power of friendship in building bridges of understanding. This program has not broadened my understanding about others' religions through scriptural reasoning, but we had also the chance to think about our values and see what we can negotiate and we cannot compromise to protect our identity. EPF was a place of inspiration by each and everyone. It was an eye-opening experience to witness the devotion, compassion, and wisdom that permeated each faith. We accepted the invitation from our Jewish friends to attend the Shabbat day, as we did with our Christian fellows in the church. And we were very pleased to see the amount of respect of our non-Muslim fellows has shown during our Jumu'ah prayer. And I would like to share with you a warming highlight of our journey here. When we had the chance to discover Geneva, our friend Gloria took the mission to find us a beautiful restaurant. and she took so long. So I came to her, asked her, why did you take so long? We could just pick any close by restaurant around. And she said, no guys, I was looking for a halal restaurant here so you could enjoy your dinner. That was such a heartwarming embodiment of what we have learned here in EPF. As I reflect upon my journey through this remarkable program, my heart swells with gratitude for the experience, knowledge, and lifelong friendship I have gained. I am filled with hope for a future where understanding and peace prevail, and justice thrives, and where people from all over the globe go hand in hand to build a more peaceful and inclusive world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So now is the big moment for the graduation, but before we do that, being one of the alumni of the first Virgin, it's my pleasure to be a part of the organization of the second Virgin. And I was really pleased and honored to get to know each and every one of you, and I've just prepared something for you. 50 young people met each other. None of them knew one another. They had fears and anxiety, but also dreams. There are not many differences, as it seems. Now we'll be far away, but we'll remember every day. Today marks a graduation from this EBF time, but how will we describe this in one simple poem? From our hearts to our feet and hands we will go, working in the words so that others would know. There is hope. EBF 2, here's the last thing to say. Let's spread peace and conquer fears. Let's stay in touch. I love you. Cheers. Thank you so much. And now I would ask His Eminence Chancellor Abdul Salam and Dr. Pillay to join me here to give the certificates to the participants. Please. So the first person will be Abbas Salim. The second person is Alfani Ali. Now we have Abanob Abdel Masih. And now we have Abdullah Idris Muhammad. Abigail Asadi. Ahmed Al-Koheji. Ahmed Mustafa Ahmed. Aidana Kaldipekova. Ajifanta Marina. Annika Goddard. Avner Chelser. Cleveland Aaron Critchlow. Diaz Yiskak. Amy Meisel. Ethan McAndrews. Fatima Halal. Fatima Zahra Gharoob. Frederick Krat. Frida Martinen. Gloria Gisbert Aramayo. Hassan Muhammad Mansour. Husni Skura. Ilya Liapin. Isa Pujaj. Joseph Ramsden. James Patrick O'Neill. Khadija Fatihi. Laila Al-Hojjaj. Lilia Casanova. Lina Al-Najjar. Malak Baghdadi. Marika Goldhorn. Marta Marquez. Mira Al-Mazroui. Nizar Ishi. Reem Ismail. Rina Tsuyoshi. Sarah Charlotte Oliver. Shahid Al-Ka'bi.
Thank you so much.
Stanisha Stankovic. Sofia Lanza. Steven Darius. Tepo Patience Mafujani. Yara Ibrahim. Zarif Ghazi.
Thank you so much.
Now, I would ask you all to come here to have a group photo, please.
Excuse me, before the group photo, I want to ask the organizing group to come here to لنحييهم, to appreciate them. Please. محمد الأمين, سارة, زينب, أحمد, المصورين, أحمد, أيمن, الجميع.
Okay, so now we'll have a group photo with all of the participants. Please join us here. Please wait. I would like to ask all of our guests, please join us in this group photo. Please, all of our guests.
روح قدام احملهم مصطفى. Friends, the celebration is not yet over. Friends, colleagues, our esteemed guests, we still have the most important part of the celebration. But before that, I want to thank all of you who came to share this celebration with us and all those who joined us online. Thank you for all those who are watching the live stream and celebrate with us, though from far. We hope you got the spirit of joy that is here in this room. So, Ahmad, as you know, there is no graduation without a cake, right?
Yes.
We will now move to cut the cake of the graduation. I will kindly ask the three organizers, Reverend Jerry, Judge Abdul Salam, and Dr. Richard, together with Professor Simone, to cut the cake on behalf of our students. Please, the cake is outside waiting for you.